Norman Robinson, and welcome to Affordable Housing Matters. On today's program, we discuss, prepare, and plan for the 2022 hurricane season. We will visit with the Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness to discuss what steps need to be taken to better our chances against Mother Nature. We have valuable information coming up next, so don't go far.
Everybody in my house knows how to ride a bike except me. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Every year, the City of New Orleans Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness is responsible to administer the city's Crisis and Consequence Management Program. Now, this involves coordinating crises, both natural and man-made, through planning, information sharing, situational awareness, and other mitigation strategies aimed at protecting the city and her residents. Joining me to know more about this and to discuss the 2022 hurricane season is the Director of the New Orleans Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, Mr. Collin. Arnold. Mr. Arnold, it's a pleasure having you here.
Thanks for having me, Norman. I appreciate it.
As we were talking earlier, this is a hot seat for you. This entire season. This is what do you dread most about the upcoming hurricane season?
I think we've just had a tough couple of years. The last few seasons have shown us difficult storms. Mm-hmm. Obviously Ida is fresh in our minds. Mm-hmm. Zeta before that. Two storms that presented us with challenges with more extended power outages. And I really think that my biggest concern is getting in that situation again where we have a storm that passes through. I think that where we are with our hurricane and storm damage risk reduction system, our levee system, is, we're in a good place. I think Ida showed us that. Mm-hmm. I think there's more work to be done, obviously with drainage, but I think that from a power standpoint, they're in a good situation. So really what we're looking at now and what concerns me the most is these, what I would call indirect injuries and mm-hmm. potentially fatalities due to hurricanes, which is heat-related illness due to power outages, generator use. It's incredible how many people have gotten injured or died from generator use over the past 3 hurricane seasons. So I really think that looking at the aftermath and the immediate time period after the storm passes is a lot of the focus that we're looking at now.
So what can you offer as a recommendation for people who might be relying on those supplemental power resources?
The first priority, and what hasn't changed, is if there is a major storm coming towards the city and you can evacuate, whether we get caught in the language of voluntary, mandatory evacuations, if you have the means and you can evacuate, do that if it's a major storm. That is going to be, full stop, your safest option. But what we want to do is increase our capacity as a city to provide for the public, should there be storms like we've seen, mm-hmm. which are these, short notice, rapidly intensifying hurricanes that we're getting out of the Gulf of Mexico. It's not the storm we watch coming from the Atlantic all the way across for a week and a half. These pop-up storms that give us 24 to 36 hours of notice are the ones that are the true issue. And so what can we do as a city in order to kind of cushion and help our public in the, after that storm passes, to immediately assist them.
So you've been thinking about that, no doubt.
Yeah, it's
and so what kind of what kind of preparations have you made as an emergency management director?
A couple of things. I think one of the biggest is, we saw during Ida, in the aftermath of Ida, we were able to relatively quickly set up these cooling centers, rec centers, place where residents could go that was, nearby geographically in their neighborhoods, where they could go and charge devices, because we know we are relying on technology, look at, access Wi-Fi, get food, water, ice, We even had, a limited amount of medical capacity and healthcare there in order to assist our residents. We've expanded on that. We're calling them emergency resource centers, or ERCs. We're building that list out further. So, whereas in last hurricane season we had 8 to 12 locations we could do, we're working with Entergy right now to increase that to 15 city facilities around the city, and actually a 16th, including the convention center. They're going to put this power capacity, the ability to hook generators into buildings permanently on these facilities. And I think what that's going to do is, not necessarily do we need 15, but it gives us a better menu of options, because you can never tell, you never know what the storm's going to leave you with.
This is true.
You're going to have facilities. Yep. I do remember during Ida, we had one of our Nord centers that we really wanted to open as one of these cooling centers. It had roof damage. That's it. So it's out. You move somewhere else, and that's kind of what we're doing. I think that formulating this into a concrete plan and having this available to residents is going to allow us to better serve the public in that immediate week to 10-day aftermath of a hurricane.
Now, is that something that you can rely on now, or are we talking future?
We're ready to go.
We're ready to go.
Ready to go.
Wow, well, that's encouraging.
Absolutely.
That's very good to know.
Yeah.
And as far as the power outage issue, that was a really huge issue in the wake of Ida.
It really was, and I will give credit to Entergy New Orleans, considering the damage that was done to all of our transmission lines coming into the city. And I believe it has been recognized at this point. They were able to get our power back substantially online in a relatively short period of time, considering the amount of damage. But unfortunately, in our position, in emergency management and with the city, we can't look at it that way. We have to have something ready to go. Our target is within 24 hours after the storm passes that we have these things set up.
What are you recommending to the viewers who are watching now in terms of not only the impact and the aftermath, but materials, plan, travel, when to leave?
Absolutely.
Because I was one of those people who decided to leave at the last minute because I kept hearing that Ida was going to go, way west of us, and then all of a sudden, here we are. In the bullseye.
Absolutely. There's three basic steps we talk about. The first is to stay connected. So you have the opportunity, we have this great NOLA Ready brand that I think has really made an impact in our community, and you can join us, as far as being connected. We're on social media at NOLA Ready. You can visit our website at ready.nola.gov, and it explains everything we're talking about today. Probably better and more concise than I'll be, but it really does have a lot of these, what I'm talking about, and the locations that will be doing these things, the types of things you need to plan for, the types of things to put in your go kit, or your stay home bag. That's all there. And then another way is that we're really encouraging is to text NOLA Ready to 77295. One word, NOLA Ready to 77295. And that's going to connect you to our alert system. And anytime we have issues going on in the city, hurricanes, boil water advisories, unfortunately, anytime we have to lift parking restrictions, all of those types of alerts we put out over that alert system, and it'll come right to your phone. So we promise not to waste your time, but that's one of the other ways. And then the second is to gather supplies. Plan for two possible situations. One, a lower level storm where you're going to shelter in place. Have those things ready at your home. Focus mainly around having enough supplies, medications, food, water for about 3 days. Okay, and for your pets as well, have all that ready. And then on the other side, have a go kit. And this is more focused on clothing, medications, finances, and the ability to get in your car with your family, with your pet, and leave. And so have those two supply kind of chains ready to go. And then the third is just have a plan. I think that having a plan to shelter in place is obviously pretty intuitive, but if you're going to have to leave, where are you going to go? Who's your contact outside the area? A lot of these things and make sure everybody in the household knows what the plan is, you know. And if you have difficulty getting out of the city, we want to hear from you. And you can do that by going to ready.nola.gov. You can do that by calling 311 from any phone line saying, look, I'm in a situation medically, mobility-wise, functional and access needs, economically. Look, it's a concern. Call us, let us know where you are. And when we have to do something in order to protect you, we're going to come and get you.
How much knowledge does your office of emergency preparedness have in terms of the people who are mobile and the people who are immobile?
That's we've worked over the years to collect that information. We've had some good database, in the past. We're working actually on improving that with our health department. We have a project called Smart 911. We're encouraging people either to call 311 or to register online. You can find out at ready.nola.gov. I know I keep saying that website.
No,
but
you need to say that. You need to continue to say that.
It's a great resource.
Yeah.
And so if you sign up and create a Smart 911 profile, you can link all of these things that you may have, issues. It could be health issues. It could be mobility issues. Link that to your profile. And not only are we going to be able to access that during a disaster or prior to a disaster to find out where you are and see what kind of needs you have, particularly if you're dependent on electricity for machines, for medical devices, that's really important to us. But that can also be helpful on a day like this where we might have a pop-up thunderstorm in the afternoon, might get some flooding, might have a power outage. It will automatically link in our city's 911 center. It'll let the first responders, whether it be police, fire, EMS, know, hey, in this residence, there's this many occupants and this person may be, mobility impaired. This person may be dependent on dialysis.
Yeah.
Any of these types of things can help inform the people that are trying to help you in a situation. So that Smart 911 is a huge project that we're really looking for.
And this is something that you're encouraging people to do now.
Now, absolutely,
now.
Right now.
It's just
today.
too late.
That's right.
It's too late to start thinking about this
If you're watching this now, go to ready.nola.gov, call 311 if you're not necessarily technologically in the space to do internet and all of those things. They'll sign you up over the phone line.
Do you have people, I hate to say manning because it's gender specific, but
staffing?
Do you have, yes, thank you very much.
I do.
Thank you very much, Collin. Do you have people staffing those phones to walk people through the process?
Yeah, 311's been a great partner in this. And then what typically happens is if we start to see something in the Gulf, out in the Atlantic that is a concern to us, we activate an additional phone center, sometimes staffed by health department personnel, sometimes assisted with volunteers that come in and help us really start to cull that list as we're starting to see potential impacts from a potential disturbance or disaster.
Well, what
storm.
about the idea like when there's a tornado in the area that we get this warning on our phone, it kind of blows the phone up.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys thought about instituting a policy like that?
We're connected to all that. We actually have the ability to do that. We've done it in the past. The last one we did, I believe, was probably during Ida for storm surge. It was in areas outside of levee protection, Venetian Isles, Lake Catherine, Irish Bayou. But we have the same, those alerts come from the National Weather Service. We certainly amplify them, rebroadcast them. But if we have to send something, I would say one of the interesting ones was when we had the Hard Rock Hotel collapse, when they were going to demolish the cranes. We actually sent out a typical similar type alert that was unique to our area. We never had to send that before, hopefully never have to send something like that again, but for people to take cover because they were about to blow up these cranes. And so, our office, NOLA Ready, has the ability to do those types of alerts whenever we need to.
We've talked mostly about how citizens can get themselves ready and be prepared to protect themselves against the forces of a hurricane. But what about your office? I remember during Hurricane Katrina, when there was some very great challenges for the Office of Emergency Preparedness.
Yes.
So how prepared are you guys for the the unlikely possibility?
We're good. You know, it's been the last 2 years have been difficult. You know, we've been dealing with COVID and hurricanes and just a lot of different disaster situations, but my team has handled it really well. I will say that we had some challenges during Ida. We had a fire at City Hall. It took out a lot of our power. We were without, we had generator power upstairs in the Emergency Operations Center, but we did lose power for a while. Lost water, lost air conditioning. You know, these are things that you have to consider when you're, you know, staffing an operations center with, you know, 120 people a day, 60 people every 12 hours. And so lodging them, feeding them, we managed to do, but there were some challenges. We are doing some upgrades to the power generation on City Hall because of lessons learned from Ida and because of necessity now after the fire. But, you know, I'm really proud of the people I work with across the board, all of our partners at the local, state, and federal level, all of our private partners, our media partners. You know, everyone really does come together during a storm. It makes this job a little bit easier when you have that cooperation, and so we're ready. You know, I really do feel that way. It's almost we've become kind of used to this kind of we call it a battle rhythm, where it's just you know kind of expected that these things happen, but obviously. Everyone I've talked to, I think we are due for a little bit of a break.
So, yeah.
You know, I mean.
Having said that, that leads into the next line of questioning, the number of storms expected. Do you think this will be a challenging year, or do you think it will be a less challenging season for us?
It's hard to say, but what I will say is this. What we get from, you know, the two big sources are Colorado State University and the National Hurricane Center. They both predict an above average season. We've had above average seasons the last few years. We had average seasons around 2018 and 2019, and we had some sort of event every season. So I'm at the point, and I think all of us and anyone who lives here knows, it just takes one. What I try to tell folks is don't focus on any one model. Don't focus on any one source of information. Don't use, and I hate to say it, don't use social media as your primary source of weather information.
I think that's good information.
You know,
I think that's good information that you're giving people. Don't use social media.
Yeah. I mean, we had a situation a couple of weeks ago where somebody had tweeted something about a disturbance in the Caribbean.
Yes.
And it was from 4 years ago. Yeah. You know, and that's not doing anyone any good. I think that, you know, looking at informed weather sources, using the media for weather source, and then one of the things we learned from Hurricane Ida is we wanted better weather awareness. We wanted our public to be better weather aware. So we actually went out after Ida, got with a company that has been installing weather stations, very good weather stations all around the city for us, and we're making it all public view. So if you go to WeatherWise, I'm going to give another email or web address.
This is all helpful stuff.
Yeah, weatherwise.nola.gov, weatherwise.nola.gov. You can see the weather in your neighborhood. And we've got more installations coming in where I think 16 out of 20 stations have been installed right now. These are fantastic.
And why did you guys think that this was significant?
Well, one of the things that came out of Ida was we wanted to have just a better overall awareness of the weather in the city, because and our partners with the National Weather Service are great. Don't get me wrong. We work very closely with them. We had a meteorologist from the Weather Service embedded with us in our Emergency Operations Center through all of what I was just telling you about, all the power outage, the fire, everything. She was there, and so that's a great partnership. But when you look at a lot of the Weather Service's information, you're getting it from New Orleans International Airport and Lakefront Airport.
True.
That's difficult to kind of, those two locations alone don't tell the story of all the weather that's going on out in New Orleans East. in downtown on the West Bank.
Yeah.
So we wanted to have kind of a better mesonet of weather stations that was going to give us real-time, accurate weather that we can make decisions off of. You know, once those winds drop below about 40 miles per hour, our public safety teams are raring to go. They want to get out there and start assessing damage, rescuing people if that's necessary, providing, you know, service to the public. It's very difficult. We have to pull them back in when the storm's coming through because it's not safe. I mean, it's just not safe. So now if I've got, you know, a weather station in Central City that is telling me the winds are 34 miles an hour, I can start getting people out there and getting help.
I can see, because that gives you a better idea of when you can get people out safely.
Exactly. And look, that's for the public safety side. We're sharing this information with the Sewage and Water Board, which they can always use more information about rainfall, how much rain's fallen, wind direction, wind speed. They can look at all those things too when they're making decisions about drainage. And then look, we wanted this to be you know, public facing and allow the public to access it, because we believe that you know, if you're weather aware and the more informed you are, the safer you're going to be. So like this weekend, as an example, there's going to be some really hot temperatures out there. So my suggestion is, if you're going to be going outside, you're going to be barbecuing, you're going to be doing those family things related to Father's Day into Juneteenth, look at weatherwise.nola.gov, plan your day. You can see graphically what the temperature is going to be throughout the day. You can make determinations, and that just makes you, you know, it makes you better prepared for whatever comes your way, whether it be a hurricane or whether it just be, you know, an afternoon thunderstorm.
So these scorching temperatures that we're experiencing, is that something that comes under the purview of emergency management?
Absolutely. Yep. We put out a release yesterday just addressing, you know, we have to address these things. We're concerned about people that possibly, you know, people that without homes, people that are out in this heat in the middle of the day. We want to give them an opportunity to respite. So, you know, we typically, for something like this, will provide the hours of rec centers and libraries. You know, they're open during the day, step in, get some cool air.
Those are cooling centers.
Exactly. Right? We're not going to the full level we would during a hurricane, because that's more dependent on power being out and those types of things. But if we can give people the opportunity to be more aware of what the heat's going to be like and what their surroundings are, they can make choices that, you know, best assist them.
I'm a child of, well, not actually a child, I'm 71, but figuratively speaking, I'm a child of Hurricane Katrina, and my concern has always been water. I take it that's probably your biggest concern.
I would say that the catastrophic type of flooding that you would see in a storm like Katrina is the worst case scenario for this city. I think we'll get through it because we've done it before, but I think it is certainly the biggest concern towards the longer term, you know, having another storm like that. I think that our levee system, as I mentioned, just recently got turned over to local control, meaning state. Doesn't really mean the Corps is going anywhere. They're invested in this system, almost $15 billion. You know, and thank you to the American taxpayer. It's certainly a phenomenal system that they've built. So I think Ida was a test. Do I think it was the ultimate test? I do not. You know, I think that the storm went to the west of us. I think that if, you know, and the National Hurricane Center's backed us up a little on this. If it would have gone 15 to 20 miles to the east, we may have had some more issues or some flooding issues. But I think where we're at right now is better than we've ever been in that regard. As far as flooding goes, the cooperation that I see between the flood protection authorities with the state and with Sewage and Water Board, in just the ability to coordinate pumping down canals during an event, that is a game changer right off the bat, especially for that, you know, flooding near canals in the city, which we saw during Katrina, and the overtopping and the breaching of canals. As long as you can keep those canal levels maintained, that's a huge win for us in moving forward. I really think that flooding is our biggest concern, but I cannot discount what we're seeing now with rapidly intensifying storms, not giving us a lot of time to do a full evacuation, and having to deal with the aftermath of people with needs in the city afterwards. And I'm particularly talking about the elderly and those vulnerable populations.
So the operative phrase is get ready and get ready now.
Absolutely.
Collin Arnold, thank you very much.
Thank you, Norman.
Appreciate you. From the
Anytime.
Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. Hopefully we will have a not too exciting season this year.
I always knock wood, but we'll see.
We can find
We'll
some
be
wood.
ready.
If we can find some wood, we'll knock on it. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us on today's show. We would again like to thank Mr. Collin Arnold for joining us on our program. And remember, if you would like to watch or rewatch any of our past programs, please point your camera towards the QR code on the screen, and it will take you directly to WLAE-TV YouTube. On that page, you can link our programming or like our programming and subscribe to our channel so you will never, ever miss an episode again. And thank you again for joining us today. I'm Norman Robinson, and we will see you next time right here on Affordable Housing Matters.